Rivalidade, história, paixão, orgulho. Esta série explora os confrontos mais amargos do futebol. Este é o Rivalidades. A seguir, a rivalidade vermelha. Investigamos os confrontos entre os gigantes Liverpool e Manchester United na Inglaterra.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching Manchester? Are you watching Manchester? Come on, Sixer!
Com 5 Copas dos Campeões e 18 vitórias na Liga, o Liverpool é o time mais condecorado na história do futebol inglês. E há um lado em especial que eles gostam de lembrar. Mas os torcedores do Manchester também têm motivo de orgulho. O gol de John Rushdie em Anfield em março de 2007 foi crucial na conquista do 9º título da Premiership.
$40,000 unhappy Scousers, it don't get better than this. Peace.
It's a killer blow, like.
Mais um capítulo no que se tornou o maior confronto do futebol inglês.
You get brought up to dislike Man United.
Fantastic, you know. They hate us, and we hate them.
It's the ultimate. I think Man United will always be the one that the fans want to beat.
Without doubt, it's the biggest game in England. The history of this club, the tradition of this club, and you got to say the history and tradition of Liverpool as well. The fact that they're, 20 or 30 miles down the East Lancs. It's just a huge game.
Essa rivalidade depende dessas 30 milhas, a distância que separa Manchester United e Liverpool, as duas grandes dinastias do futebol inglês. É passional e amargo quando os dois clubes se encontram. Por que tanta rivalidade? Primeiramente por causa da história do futebol, e estes dois times definitivamente têm seu papel nela.
We were successful in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they, in the 90s, they won everything, and I think the rap sort of started in the 90s.
There's always been that intense rivalry with the supporters, purely I think because they were the team that we had to overcome in the 70s and 80s. And now with the boots on the other foot, we're winning the league so often, and Liverpool haven't won it for maybe 16, 17 years now, so you can sense the hatred there.
Liverpool were clearly the standout team in the 70s and 80s, dominated the domestic scene from a league perspective. In the 90s and beyond, it's been Manchester United. So I think both being from the same area, 30 miles apart, the rivalries got bigger and bigger.
There's jealousy from United supporters that this team from Liverpool, 30 miles down the road, that they could have so much success. And I think it was born out of Liverpool's success that I think the rivalry started to ferment and become what it is today.
Mas há um elemento maior na rivalidade. As duas cidades foram gigantes da Revolução. Liverpool, como porto da região, estava mais bem posicionada do que as cidades vizinhas. E isso até Manchester construir o Ship Canal, que conectou ao mar da Irlanda e abriu oportunidades comerciais.
If you look at the rivalry between Manchester and Liverpool as cities, you have to go back to the Industrial Revolution and the industrial competition between the cities, and things like the building of the Manchester Ship Canal, which was basically to bypass the Liverpool docks and bring goods straight into the heart of Manchester.
Both cities competing to be the powerhouse in the northwest, and Liverpool stole a march on us until we dug the Ship Canal and got bigger docks than Liverpool.
And Liverpool was a very
rich and wealthy, and Manchester at the other end of the Mersey was struggling a little bit, and they had to build the Manchester Ship Canal to get a slice of the action, so to speak. There's always been not just a rivalry, but a suspicion of, you know, they're muscling in on our jobs, etc. Football exacerbates it and exaggerates it.
A herança industrial e, é claro, o futebol levaram a décadas de provocação entre jogadores e torcedores. Até os diretores entraram na discussão, ou devemos dizer, humor regional.
We get on well. We work very closely together with Rick Parry on the Premier League, but on G14 or UEFA meetings. But certainly, you know, we both want to win. They're winners, we're winners, and it's you know, there's quite a bit of humour about it, but also both very competitive humour, shall we say?
Yeah, it's great. It's always a big battle.
A batalha entre os dois clubes teve seu ápice em dos encontros mais recentes. Gary Neville com os torcedores do Liverpool depois do gol da vitória, beijando o escudo do Manchester em frente à torcida adversária.
To be honest with you, I didn't know he'd done it during the game, but I haven't seen it on the TV. I think, you know, his reaction was a bit over the top. But you know, he's a passionate Manchester United supporter and a player, so when you do get the 3 points, you know, it's good to celebrate, but I think he went a bit over the top.
Get in there!
Well, I think Gary Neville was doing what I'd done if I'd have been lucky enough to play for United. I'd have gone up the other end and done exactly the same thing, if you bear in mind the foul abuse that he takes off Liverpool supporters week in, week out. I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with that.
Personally, I don't think either Gary Neville nor Steven Gerrard, with his comments, did anything wrong whatsoever. And I'd much prefer footballers to actually care about the big local rivalries and what it means to the fans, rather than just be robots who, you know, treat every game as it comes.
Enquanto a herança industrial ainda está presente, o futebol vai se tornando o maior produto de exportação. Hoje em dia são os grandes dirigentes do futebol que estão comemorando, e não mais os industriais.
These are some famous portraits of the ex-managers. Obviously Bill Shankly, he's the one who got it all started. Bob Paisley, followed him, really successful, won a lot of leagues and European titles. Joe Fagan was his successor. He was another successful manager. And then obviously the king, Kenny Dalglish, the best player to ever wear the red shirt.
O Manchester United também tem suas figuras lendárias. Sir Matt Busby, dos anos 50 e 60, e Sir Alex Ferguson, que tem tido sucesso surpreendente desde o início dos anos 90.
It's fantastic to be from a region, the Northwest, and when you talk about great managers, look at those two football clubs. Obviously, Alex Ferguson now, but when Bob Paisley was manager here, and before him Bill Shankly, no wonder Liverpool and Man United have won as many trophies as they did.
Well, yeah, certainly Ferguson is out of the mould of Shanks and Bob Paisley and Sir Matt Busby, even, you know, and Sir Matt, who played here at Liverpool. So they're a great. I think there's a great relationship, a healthy relationship, I think, even between the clubs, and respect.
O primeiro dos super dirigentes do Noroeste foi sem dúvida Sir Matt Busby, que gerenciou o Manchester em 1945. Dali em diante ele fez história com os Busby Babies. Entretanto, o time foi tragicamente destruído pelo desastre aéreo de Munique em 1958. Busby sobreviveu ao acidente e uma década depois liderou um novo Manchester à glória na Copa dos Campeões.
To rebuild a team from virtual scratch to become European champions in 10 years, I think was Matt Busby's greatest ever achievement. I mean, apart from the anguish of seeing the Busby Babes and virtually a whole team destroyed, to get the sort of the spiritual willpower to do it, that was an amazing achievement, and I think that was one of the factors that made Manchester United so widely acclaimed outside Manchester.
A fama do Manchester sempre alimentou a rivalidade entre os dois clubes. E desde a época de George Best, Sir Bob Charlton, Dennis Lowe, o nome do Manchester United carrega um pouco mais de glamour.
It was a privilege to play against Man United then, because they had the likes of like Dennis Law, George Best, for goodness sake. You know, so to have played against them, and when they were like an unbelievable side. I mean, they were probably the top side in the country at that time.
Mas enquanto o Manchester United chegava no topo e era campeão europeu, a estrela do Liverpool ainda estava nascendo. Os Beatles tornaram a cidade famosa nos anos 60, mas nos anos 70 o Liverpool Futebol Clube se preparava para se tornar o produto de exportação número 1 da cidade.
Obviously the Beatles and the Merseybeat sound was taking over not just this country but the world, and that was echoed on the terraces. The club actually started by singing Beatles songs and singing the popular songs of the day.
Juntos com seus hinos, os fãs e o Liverpool embarcaram em um período de dominação extraordinária. A era Liverpool estava começando e o novo chefe era outro escocês, Bill Shankly.
Well, it's all down to one man, Bill Shankly. He had a vision of what he wanted Liverpool Football Club to become. He wanted a bastion of invincibility at Anfield, which he did. I think he appreciated how important and how passionate the fans on Merseyside were. They worked with each other. He created 2 or 3 very successful teams, but it's purely down to Bill Shankly and the influence and the foundations that he set up at Anfield.
Shankly e depois Bob Paisley levaram o Liverpool a vencer título após título, enquanto o Manchester United começava seu declínio. Para muitos em Manchester, a história de sucesso do Liverpool estava muito perto de casa.
From their part, there was a great deal of animosity towards us because, Manchester United had been this big football club, 50s, 60s, and then really it was Liverpool, late 60s, 70s, and the 80s that had taken over. And there was a fair bit of animosity amongst the supporters.
It did hurt Manchester United fans, yes. They couldn't reconcile it with the image that they had of themselves as the top club in everything, bar actually winning titles and cups. Oh, they won the cup a few times, but they could not win the league. So Manchester United had a chip on the shoulder about it, really, and they didn't like it one little bit.
A rivalidade estava começando a fermentar. Mas o final dos anos 60 e começo dos anos 70 foram um período inocente do futebol inglês.
Over the last maybe 30 years or so, things have changed dramatically. I mean, in my day, if we didn't win anything, we wanted Liverpool to win it, and vice versa. Because Bill Shankly and Matt Busby were big pals. And so there was a great relationship between the players. And to a great degree there was amongst the fans, but that changed in later years. Maybe somebody would have to be explained to me why.
Os anos 70 foram marcados pelos hooligans do futebol. E essa foi uma das razões da deterioração das relações no Noroeste.
The sort of terrace disorder that you were seeing around those periods isn't going to make club rivalries any less. It's going to exacerbate the rivalries. Famous incident in 1988 when the Manchester United team were CS gassed by Liverpool fans as they came off the coach.
I got CS gassed walking into the changing rooms. Quite a few of us got gassed, and a lot of the Liverpool supporters who were there as well, they got gassed.
It was very basic, this rivalry, if you like to call it. It was more than rivalry, hatred, I suppose.
Liverpool dominava em campo. Um período bem sucedido com Shankly se tornou uma dinastia quando Paisley levou o Liverpool a novas alturas. Seu último troféu foi ganho em um jogo contra o Manchester United pela final da Milk Cup em 83. O capitão Graeme Souness insistiu que o próprio Paisley subisse no pódio de Wembley para receber a taça.
Playing for Liverpool in those days, that was everybody's dream. They had dominated in the 70s. It was a wonderful thing to be at Liverpool. It wasn't a case of you were guaranteed to win something, but it was near to it. And every season I was there, we did. We won something, at least one thing.
Mas nem tudo foi como esperado. Em maio de 77, na final da Copa da Liga Inglesa em Wembley, o Liverpool já era campeão e finalista da Copa dos Campeões. Uma vitória abriria caminho para uma tríplice conquista.
I think the cup final, where we stopped them winning the treble, was an achievement for us. It was a foregone conclusion that more or less Liverpool would win the game because they had a team that was going for the treble and looked well capable of winning that treble. I think it was a great occasion for the club.
Enquanto o Manchester comemorava a Copa da Liga Inglesa, o Liverpool viajava para Roma para enfrentar o Borussia Mönchengladbach na sua primeira final da Copa dos Campeões.
They'd been through almost a treble-winning season. It turned out to be a double. We'd lost to Man United, our dearest rivals in '77 FA Cup final. So we were sick, getting on the train to go back home Saturday evening. But the spirit of Liverpool
was just incredible, and you know, as it worked out, well, we won that night, and the first time is always special, I think, because you know you're making history for the club, and you're in the team, so you're part of the history, and I think it was absolutely unbelievable in '77. It really was.
Outro ponto-chave da rivalidade Manchester-Liverpool é o troféu daquela Copa dos Campeões da Europa. Liverpool cultivou o hábito de ganhá-lo com o passar dos anos, culminando na 5ª vitória em 2005.
This is the famous European Cup that we won in 2005, so it was for the 5th time we're allowed to keep the trophy. Really nice trophy.
Right now Liverpool have won that trophy 5 times, and United, arguably the biggest club in the world, have won it twice, and that's maybe, that hurts, I think, some people at United. I know it hurts. Sir Alex, you know, he'd love to have won it more than just the once.
Man United haven't fulfilled their true potential. You know, they've won the European Cup twice. We've won it 5 times, and that's something that they can't accept.
That's something that I think the Liverpool supporters get a great deal of pleasure out of pointing out.
5 European Cups, mate. 77, 78, 81, 84 and 2005.
Foi a era de ouro do Liverpool e parecia que não ia acabar. Mas apesar de terem o melhor lateral que a Inglaterra já tinha visto, havia algumas preocupações com relação ao seu antigo inimigo.
Liverpool being Scousers, it wasn't really enough for them, I don't think. They still had that little bit of a chip on their shoulder and resentment about Man United.
I think the seeds of it were sown probably in the 1970s and 1980s, when Liverpool were by a mile the most successful club, not just in this country but in Europe. Yet their supporters always perceived that the media focused more on Manchester United. United were believed to have a little bit more charisma as a football club, if you like.
Manchester United, they've always been the glamour club, haven't they? And Liverpool hated them for being glamorous.
That created a grudge which became more and more bitter as the years developed, and I don't think we've ever recovered from it, to be honest.
E os torcedores do Liverpool têm a mesma opinião.
Jealousy, that's what it is, mate. Jealousy. How can they have three United, a player and 2 managers United, and we've got the best track record in the world for 18 league champions and 5 European Cups, and not one United. Bob Paisley should have been United years ago. Stinks, mate.
Desastres em Hillsborough nos anos 80 atingiram o clube. No final da mesma década, o domínio do Liverpool no futebol inglês começou a cair. Como jogador, Graham Souness sentiu o compromisso que fez o clube crescer. E enquanto dirigente, ele percebeu uma mudança de atitude.
Without criticizing Kenny in any shape or form, felt that I inherited a group of older players who maybe had seen their best days. And what I was guilty of was trying to change things too quickly. And I couldn't get my head around people who would come to me, older players, and say, look, I've had an offer from this one or that one, I'd like to go. Because Liverpool for me was the #1 football club. Once you were there, you never wanted to leave.
Enquanto o Liverpool decaía, o Manchester voltava a crescer.
I can remember Peter Robinson, who was the chief executive, saying to me when I was a player at Liverpool, if them down the road ever get it right, we'll all be in trouble. And by them, he meant Manchester United. And for him to say that, those words stuck in my head. You know, if them down the road ever get it right. And it turned out.
I made my debut in 1990, and you know that was at a time when the huge amount of success that they had was just coming to an end, and that just coincided with the Manchester United golden period as well. You know, Liverpool were coming to the end of their golden periods, with a lot of the players being older players, all having to retire and move on.
Os problemas do Liverpool vieram com Sir Alex Ferguson, que chegou em novembro de 86. Ele se tornaria um ótimo técnico.
The first thing that Alex Ferguson did when he took over as manager in 1986 was not, I'm going to make this club win the league championship, I'm going to do this and do that. His public utterances were, my target is to get ahead of Liverpool. I mean, it was as personal as that, and he picked up the vibes of that from the fans.
Sir Alex, when he came down from Scotland, he took over United. He saw Liverpool as the benchmark, and I think he based modern day Manchester United, I think, on Liverpool in ways.
Em 1996, o Manchester United era o time a ser vencido e não deixaram seus rivais esquecerem disso na final da Copa da Liga Inglesa.
You're distraught to lose a cup final, full stop. But when when you lose it to maybe one of your fiercest rivals, I was gutted after the game. But of course, there always has to be a winner, and unfortunately, we were on the losing side.
Em 1999, Ryan Giggs marcou um gol inesquecível e o United atingiu a histórica tríplice: Campeonato Inglês, Liga dos Campeões e Copa da Liga Inglesa. Depois de impedir que o Liverpool conquistasse a tríplice em 77, o United conseguiu a façanha. As três competições impuseram seus obstáculos, mas na Copa inglesa o próprio Liverpool praticamente expulsou o Manchester da Copa.
We see seemingly in complete control, and then at the time United were popping up with late goals.
E foi isso que eles fizeram. Um gol de empate de Dwight Yorke a 2 minutos do final. E Ole Gunnar Solskjaer cravou uma falta que acabou com o sonho do Liverpool.
I think it was just a little bit of luck here and there, a little ricochet here, goal there, and it was they just had that sign over us at various times in the 90s.
Enquanto seus rivais lamentavam a sorte, o Manchester estava extasiado.
Cup game here, I think it was we won the treble actually, where Liverpool 1-0 up and we come back in the last couple of minutes to win 2-1. You can't beat that for excitement.
Os três troféus que o United ganhou em 99 indicam as maiores realizações do clube e colocam Ferguson entre os maiores técnicos da história do futebol.
Alex proved that he is up there with anybody you want to name, and arguably by the time he's finished, be the greatest manager that's ever been. You know, he would be the first one to tell you he needs to win another European Cup. But even if that wasn't happening, he'd still be, certainly in my opinion and a lot of other people's opinion, maybe the best that's ever been.
O Liverpool venceu a Copa da Inglaterra às custas do Manchester United em 2003 com Gerard Houllier, mas mais sucesso ainda estava por vir. Rafa Benítez chegou e ele já tinha vencido a Copa dos Campeões e a Copa da Liga Inglesa. Talvez os dias de glória estejam voltando.
His record speaks for itself, you know, his cup competitions, you know, European Cup competitions. Likewise, you know, he's done it in Valencia. He's come across to English football, you know, and in 3 years he's achieved so much. And I think that says a lot for him. You know, it's you know, he's only been here a short space of time.
I think there's a feeling that perhaps Liverpool are just on the brink of building something whereby we can get back maybe to the days that we enjoyed.
Well, it's exciting times, isn't it? You know, new owners with the prospect of a new stadium. Rafa with a squad he's got now, which is playing in the Champions League. Money to spend to improve the squad. So yeah, I mean, to be a Liverpool supporter at this moment in time, it's attractive.
Ele pode ter aprendido o jogo na Espanha, mas Rafa Benítez está na Inglaterra há tempo suficiente para saber o que significa uma competição contra o Manchester.
The passion in England is more than in other countries, and for me, it's similar when you play Barcelona against Real Madrid. Top sides, winning trophies for years, and normally when you are in the top of the table or when you are playing for trophies, you will see normally Arsenal, Chelsea now, and United always. No? That is the rivalry for years.
Uma das razões do Manchester estar tão bem é seu astro português Ronaldo, que pode se tornar o jogador do ano nessa temporada.
Of course, it's a very important, it's a tough game, difficult game against Liverpool. Always, it's good, but I think you are in a good way. You play very well. This moment, I hope to win. Everyone know if you win, it's a big step to win the Premier League. This is very important, and I think you have a great chance.
Fãs se reuniram para outro derby entre Manchester e Liverpool. A calma antes da tempestade.
Incredibly passionate. I think it's probably the most passionate derby, certainly in England.
Arguably the two best English teams ever meeting face to face.
the history of the two clubs, their success and the geography, they're so close together. I think it's just incredibly passionate.
We'll beat them. We're going to beat them.
Para qualquer time é difícil jogar em Anfield, mas a situação é mais hostil quando é o... Com o Liverpool esperando frustrar a tentativa de título do Manchester, o interesse na partida não estava restrito à região. Nos minutos finais, Cristiano Ronaldo bateu uma falta que Pepe Reina não pôde segurar. John Shea estava atento e marcou para o Manchester.
That's the beauty of football. You don't know the result, and then against the run of play, and I think Alex was very clear on that. We got the last-minute winner from a relatively unlikely source in John O'Shea. To see that ball hit the back of the net, there was nothing better.
Outro clássico entre Liverpool e Manchester havia acabado. Mas a história entre os dois clubes tem muitas versões.
The fact that we've still got all those European Cups and what have you still gives us the edge. And
glad you said that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely we've got the edge. There's no doubt about that.
And we're winning. You know, I mean, the fact that we've got 8 Premierships and Premiership, you know, suits me anyway.
I don't know whether he actually said it, but it was reported that he said it, and it was Gary Neville and Ryan Giggs. And apparently they said that before they retire, they'd like to catch up with what Liverpool's achieved. And I thought to myself, well, he's not going to be playing when he's 130.
Você esteve com Luiz Alberto Volpi. Obrigado pela companhia e até o próximo programa da série Rivalidades.